Greetings, sentient being, and thank you once again for joining us here for another episode of Punkworks Project Kerbal. In this episode, we're doing something a little bit different. As you can see, I've got the tech tree open, so not in sandbox. I'm not in my one of my normal sandbox saves. I'm doing a career mode save, custom built to put me at a point in the tech tree where one might first encounter beam technology. Now, your tech tree is probably going to look different than mine. I'm using unkerbal start, so I don't have the community tech tree installed. I have unkerbal start installed. I'm not. I actually don't think that those two will work together. I think you can only have one tech tree pack installed at a time. Don't quote me on that. I'm not like real big on how like all that works, but I took the community tech tree out. Went with unkerbal start, and so most of my science has been devoted towards probe cores and nuclear power, getting to nuclear power. As you can see up here, I've only got the most basic the most basic of liquid fuel engines available, and all these are still grayed out. Got a little bit of fuel storage because I wanted to get up to be able to store hydrogen, so I didn't have to really use liquid fuel. I really kind of just want to focus just on Interstellar extended parts here. I do have extraplanetary launch pads installed, and it would be nice to kind of show you how I might actually use that if I were doing a real career. If I were planning on playing completely through career mode, I would lean heavily on extraplanetary launch pads as opposed to grinding missions for resources. For money, I would actually just like mine the resources and build ships through offsite facilities as opposed to launching from KSC, and I would just do that throughout the entire save. But that takes a really long time, and I want to get a tutorial out to you on how to build a beam powered network. So if we look here, yeah, ignore all this stuff. I'm still working out some kinks and having multiple mods installed and multiple saves, and yeah, don't worry about that. Everything works fine. So one of the first transmitters you're going to get is this guy, the microwave transducer, the DTMWTD32X. It's a pretty neat little thing. It unfolds to like something like a 12 meter by 12 meter square or something like that, or smaller, or maybe it's like 12 meters squared, or something like that. Anyway, it unfolds to be a big transducer for beaming those microwaves on a pivot, which is really cool. Yeah, so from there I unlocked thermal power generator, so I could actually have that one instead of the, I mean, you get this one when you get the beam power, the thermal effect, and it's not bad, use it. But I went ahead and went a step further to get the thermal power generator, which also opens up a few other options like the phased array transceiver, things like that, which we will get into as many of these as I can. But as you can see, it's a huge tech tree with a lot of different options. I'll do my best, okay? I'll do my best. So yeah, the microwave transducer, and then over here, so what do we need? We need nuclear power. So you start with nuclear propulsion, and then you work your way up to nuclear power, and you get that liquid metal cooled reactor, which I don't use much. It uses enriched uranium instead of uranium tetrafluoride, so I don't use it much. It's kind of weird to work with. And as far as a beam powered network, I mean, it's cool because it's like small and compact and it works, but it's not what I'm looking for right now. Maybe in the future. But for right now, we go a step further and we get ourselves our first step into the molten salt reactor. Immediately after this, there's like the pebble bed, which is really, really cool as well. And there's an upgrade for the molten salt reactor. There it is. Molten salt reactor upgrades for advanced heat management. And you get another upgrade that goes even further with specialized radiators. So as you improve, a little bit, you get better molten salt reactors. So we got, this is just the upgrade. This doesn't unlock the reactor. You got to unlock the reactor, and then get yourself an upgrade, and then you're ready to go. Okay. And then once you upgrade a little bit further, you'll be even more ready to go. But, it's another 1,500 science points. So here's where we're going to start. It's with the improved nuclear power and advanced heat management, specialized electronics, and don't worry about that one, and high power electrics. Cool. So what we're going to do for the first chunk is just test out our reactor. We're going to start with an AGI core, a computer core, artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence, whatever you really want to call it. It's going to help us do some researching on the things that we're going to use. All right, so we go over to our little filter over here, KSP Interstellar extended. We go over to our reactors. We grab ourselves molten salt. Molten salt. Okay, put that on there. Starts out 2.5. We're going to bump it up. We'll just go 375. Why not? Okay, so 375, and get ourselves a thermal power generator. And we're going to just make it match just because. So from here, we've got about 3 gigawatts of total heat production. That's quite a lot. Just to kind of put that into perspective, if we did scale down, we only have 675 to deal with. So it's a big jump, but 3 gigawatts, and at our current efficiency, we're going to get a 1.5 gigawatts out of that. It's like 50% efficient. I think this one here is 30, 10. Yeah, it's like up to 10% efficient. So this one's when you don't need quite as much. But if we want beam power, we want all the electricity. But we also have to cool this thing down. So, pardon me. Best bet is to dunk your radiators in water. A lot of these, like the titanium ones, and these here thermal radiator, the wraparound ones, and the convection radiators, all the ones that you think would be ideal for using in the air as opposed to the graphene ones, these are great for space. Use graphene for space, but use the other ones, the metal ones, there for atmosphere and as far as convection, and also the I forgot what it's called, but you get a massive bonus by submerging these in water. So definitely take advantage of that. So yeah, we're going to have to figure out a way to put a bunch of radiators on this to make sure it works out. Since we're just doing a test run, we're going to see what we kind of get just by kind of spamming them, So we'll do that, and that, and that. Okay. That gives us 1 gigawatt of dissipation. So it's not going to be quite enough for our purposes. It's also more than we can afford. So I guess we'll not do that as our first test run. Let me go ahead and take these off. So we'll scale down. Already the budget constraints. Okay. Let's put that on there. I think, yeah, okay, sure. Something like that, right? Okay, but in order to actually test this out, we're going to have some actual beam action going on. So let's go to our thing. Go ahead and close that. Alright, so it does need a gyrotron. Oh wait, no, it does not. The microwave transducer is a specialized microwave transmitter capable of transmitting a high amount of microwave power without the usage of a gyrotron. So we're definitely going to want to use one of those. Standard comes off 4 gigawatts, so that'll be more than enough for our purposes today. So let's go ahead and launch. Rightio. So we're here on the launch pad, And let's open up our power management windows here. Low down in the tech tree, the molten salt, you're not going to have any charged particles, so we're going to get rid of that. Let's take a look at these here dials. So 675 megawatts theoretical thermal, heat supply from that reactor. At the efficiency of our generators currently, that gives us access to 320 megawatts of theoretical power. As we heat up, that will drop. Okay, so let's get our microwave transducer out. We're on the K band, the KA band. It's 8.5 millimeters, which is pretty decent for beaming through the atmosphere. You'll get through the atmosphere pretty well with minimal losses. It's about 6% atmosphere absorption. Now, if you really want to punch through all that atmosphere, use yourself the X band microwave. If you use the X band, it's at 25 millimeters. Okay, so that gives you only a 2% atmospheric absorption, 1% water absorption, power to beam 90%, so you lose about 10% there when you do that. But that's okay because they're all pretty much like that. But X band is kind of what you want if you really want to make sure you're getting through that atmosphere with minimal losses. So that's what we're going to start with. Keep in mind though that these will have different efficiencies and produce different amounts of waste heat, depending on a bunch of things that I don't actually understand because it requires math that I can't do, or a better understanding of thermodynamics that I don't have. Sorry. All right, so a bunch of radiators, big old reactor. We got the uranium in here. I'm not running the thorium. I'm running uranium. So we'll do that. In fact, we'll go ahead and open our reactor control window and leave that open over here, if you can see all those figures and readouts. All right, so let's turn this on. Transmitters right there, and we're blasting out full power, so we probably don't want to do that because, as you can see, we immediately start heating up, and our current power supply tries to catch up, but it went down to 294 from 300 and something. But it does appear to be holding pretty steady. And this is, let's see, walled beams, 262 megawatts. Okay, so we are beaming 293 megawatts, and it does appear more or less stable. Why didn't that extend? There we go, now it's extending. Okay, just had to turn it on. And there you go. That is pumping out, beamed power. I'd probably want to turn this about 90 degrees and then put it, offshore a couple kilometers and dunk these in the water. And then that would be a little bit more efficient because we've already dropped down to 285 because we are going to keep on heating up here and lose efficiency and power as we do, running at full power. We can, of course, edit that, go down to, say, 41%, and we are beaming 100 megawatts off into space. And, by the time that gets all the way, up here, and it's not going to be 100 megawatts, it's going to be a lot less. So this teeny tiny puny beamed power station here is not going to quite launch your interstellar civilization amongst all the stars unless you're using the tiniest, most efficient vessels known to Kerbal kind. But you could also just scale this up and make a gazillion of these, and then you have a bunch. So there's that. All right, so that's test one. Pretty stable, pretty decent. It appears that this can continue to do its thing for about 8 or 9 years. Not bad. This will also breed tritium using lithium that is stored. So as long as you've got lithium on board your molten salt reactor, there we go. Lithium 6 right there. And you get those neutron emissions there from the uranium tetrafluoride. You're going to breed some tritium. It looks like at our current reactor level of 40% is 0.003129, basically 0.003 kilograms a day, which is about 3 grams of tritium a day. So it will take a while, but we've already got 0.36 units, or I'm sorry, that's helium, 0.18 units of tritium and 0.01 units of xenon gas, which, sorry, I can't really do the conversion for you there as far as what that actually means in kilograms. So I don't actually have something here. Oh wait, yeah I do. I'm sorry. So 0.01 is about 660 some 0.09 is 0.000054 kilograms of tritium. So 0.2 units of tritium is a very, 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 very small amount of tritium. And xenon gas, we got about 700 milligrams now. Small amounts, but that's just one little reactor station. So we get a bunch of these, right? And we tell our AGI core here to activate. Oh, except I don't think I've upgraded it yet to actually do that. Yeah, it's just a standard mainframe core, so it doesn't do much. Gotta upgrade it there with about 100 science. Then I can do cool stuff. But for now, it's just acting as a probe core. Whoops, I didn't want that button. Sorry, guys. All right, yeah. Rightio then. So step 2 is to find out how much power we can get out of a thermal rocket using those nuclear reactors. So we're going to use the Crusader thermal rocket nozzle. It's one of the first ones you get. I mean, you can try the toroidal aerospike, but at low levels in the tech tree, it's really not your go-to for a launch system, unless you've got it super fine-tuned and super light. This is your launch nozzle right here in the beginning. Okay, 180 kilonewtons versus 500 kilonewtons for the same mass. I think you can see this has much more thrust-weight ratio. 500 kilonewtons at 5 tons versus 180 kilonewtons at 5 tons. And then you're not really going to get 180 out of it unless you're feeding this thing a ton of power anyway. Okay, all right. So use your Crusader thermal rocket nozzle. And then grab your molten salt reactor again. Switch it to thorium. Okay, we just want to do a test, and start off with it at its normal weight. 500 units of thorium. 2.5, 2.5. All right, so it's going to be about 931 megawatts. If you look here and we switch the fuel back, uranium 675. Thorium 931. Okay. All right. So we do that. Give it control. Just gonna give it a regular probe core this time. Put that right there. Gonna have to give it some fuel. So let's go with one of these. Maybe a bigger one. That one. This is the one I want. I think that's the one I want. Liquid fuel oxidizer. You can run this thing on a few things, hydrolox or liquid fuel. You can actually use liquid fuel if you would like. So we're going to start off with this one. Again, full tank. So our mass is about almost 24 tons. It's pretty heavy. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to just kind of put it right there. Okay, let us launch. We're not even going to give this thing a name. Okay, so I don't expect this to do much. There's no control or anything like that, so it's just going to fly and wobble all over the place. Just do that. We're just getting really a thrust test out of this. Let's do this. There we go. And we'll open that just for the fun of it. Waste heat, thermal power. There we go. And we'll put our reactor control window over here. Yeah, okay. All right, and then thrust is going to be right there. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, fire. All right, so with this first thing you notice, it takes a moment to heat up, and then it starts producing thrust, slowly spooling up. So we're at 100 kilonewtons, 110, 120. Okay, we're quite a ways from that 500. And at our current mass, I don't actually believe this is going to lift us off the ground. So let's go ahead and do that. And boom, there you go. 122 kilonewtons is not enough thrust to lift, what was that, 22 tons off the ground. We would need, we would basically need another 100 kilonewtons in order to make that happen. So it's just not going to work. Okay? So, what we would ideally want to do if we have 120 kilonewtons of thrust is basically we want to make sure that our craft weighs about 12 tons, which it does not. So one thing we can do is get rid of all the lithium, put the minimum amount of thorium, and we're down to 20 tons. And then we can reduce our liquid fuel. We're not going to get to where we want to go. So let's see how far we get at 20 tons. Probably still don't have a decent thrust to weight ratio, but we'll find out. Radio, here we go again. Alright, so we've reduced our thorium supply down to 50 units, so that is somewhere on here. 314 kilograms of thorium. Alright, we fire. Takes a moment, then it spools up and goes. We'll wait till we reach 120 kilonewtons. 118, 118. Okay, here's 120, and we release the launch clamps. We still don't have enough to get to space, or even off the ground. So what does this mean? What this means is the low-end tech tree 2.5 meter molten salt reactor is not your launch vehicle, okay? Your 5 meter molten salt reactor is your launch vehicle. Okay? That's your launch vehicle. Let's go ahead and bump that up. And we are now at 142 tons. Okay, so 5 meter reactor, 5 meter nozzle, a ton of liquid fuel, 54 tons. Or, I'm sorry, 48 tons. Total mass of that tank is 54 tons. 48 tons of liquid fuel. And then some thorium, like 2.5 tons of thorium. So big, heavy thing, right? Okay, so let's, does it get off the ground? All right, first thing we do, activate the engine. I probably should have put this on launch clamps, but I didn't. We're getting 1,500, 1,600, 1,700, 18, 19, 2,000 kilonewtons, and climbing, and it's just going to keep climbing. It's pretty heavy, so it's going to be pretty good at, is that green exhaust? Is there like a green glow? Am I seeing things? Do you guys see that? Oh, this is filthy. That is a filthy reactor right there. Look at that. That is definitely radioactive green, awful war crimes going on right now. This is terrible. Okay. Gotta say, I'm not thrilled about the idea of putting such a thing in the oceans of Kerbin. No telling what sort of effect it could have on the local ecology. Beyond that, though, We're at about 5 kilometers, 5,500 meters, and still holding strong. That engine, and you might notice we don't have a radiator on here. Your big Crusader thermal rocket, it has a radiator. Radiator is right here. Okay, it's decent enough to keep this thing from exploding, but as you can see, it is starting to overheat. So more radiators would be recommended, but the reason why I'm able to get away without putting an actual radiator on this is because that rocket nozzle is a radiator. Okay. Nozzles are really good at radiating heat. It's their whole job. Look at that. Look at that radioactive toxic waste. Oh my goodness, that is just disgusting. That's so awesome. I'm hoping that's not a graphical glitch and that's intended, because that's gorgeous. Don't play with nukes, kids. Don't play with nukes. Alright, we're still going up. We're about 28 kilometers now, so that's a lot of power out of that little engine. Of course, there's no payload, so that's kind of a thing. But you can see you could probably launch, something decent, pretty good ways, I suppose. We've got about 2.5 Gs, so we could certainly increase mass of this vessel by about 50%. And remain in that 1G range, I think. So let's see, 56 kilometers. Our apoapsis is eventually going to be 128 kilometers. So that is impressive. I think we can use that. What do you guys think? All right, let's revert flight and not let that burn up in the atmosphere, because that was just a simulation. Okay, now let's turn this into something hopefully useful. So what we want to do, electric generator, just put that right there. Yes, sir. Just go ahead and put that right there. We're going to need a beam generator. So where's our beamers? There's a beamer right there. Okay, power production, it's going to be pretty high, so we're going to want a pretty decently sized dish, I suppose. 20. We don't need really 22 gigawatts. Let's go with 11 gigawatts total supply, which is going to be way more than we're ever going to be able to produce, but that's okay. We're just going to go with this design and call it good. Let's rotate that a little bit. Good. Okay. A little bit of command and control. Do we have any sort of command and control? A little bit. All right. Let's see here. Take some of these metal plates there. And put them right there, yeah. Just above. No, I think I want those below. So we'll put those right there. Maybe that'll work. I'm hoping that works. Okay, radiators. Yeah. Not really sure what to use. I will admit to you all right now, I've spent so much time playing in Sandbox that it's been a long time since I've had to use radiators in career mode, so I'm not up on the efficiencies of all of them in this particular mode. See, that one looks pretty good. This one looks like my best bet. So biggest challenge here is going to be finding a way to get this thing somehow aerodynamically stable enough to fly to the ocean while still being able to submerge enough radiators. This might be a challenge. Rightio then. Okay, so I'm not the best at this, so this is what I came up with, is a horrible launch vehicle that's probably not going to actually work. In fact, that right there bugs me. Maybe if I do that, it's a little less weird. Yeah, sure. Maybe if I put it way down there, it's even better. Yeah, okay, that'll that makes me less weird. Okay, so basically the molten salt, 5 meters, full up on thorium, 4,000 units of thorium. Okay, 5 meter crusader, thermal rocket, thermal power generator, and then a bunch of radiators that are not nearly enough. It's actually less than 1 gigawatt of maximum dissipation, so it's not even close to the 11 that we need, but I still need the big thing just to get it up in space and or into the atmosphere and land the thing in the ocean. So as we go along, our radiators will upgrade and get more and more efficient and allow us to do more, so we just get science and then upgrade these later on or build better versions of this. But this is what I came up with for the time being. Okay, so there's that, and we just need one last thing, which is fuel. I don't have any of those fuel tanks. Let's go for some fuel switch fuel tanks. There's some stock, and I just want... It'd be nice if I had one that decoupled, but I haven't unlocked the decouple fuel tanks just yet. I think that's probably the one I want. Yeah, we'll just pretend that's the one I want. Alright, so we'll make this a little smaller, and then we're going to put hydrolox in it. Liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen. I'm pretty sure that's a thermal mode. Let me double check. Hydrogen and oxidizer. Hydrolox. Yep, there we go. Okay, liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen. That's what we're going for with fuel. Let's see. There's not much in there, so let's go a little bigger. Again, I apologize for the atrocious design that I'm going with here. It's not, not my best work. Just kind of trying to show you in the most bare bones, low tech way possible how to get started. And I again apologize for the length of this and all videos. I do understand that they tend to drag on. I will work on this. Do I really want any of this on here? Nah, I tell you what, we'll just we'll see how far this takes us. Okay. Yep, we're gonna go ahead and overwrite that and launch away. Oh, I can't afford to launch. Okay. That's because I'm not grinding missions and stuff like that, so sorry about the cheat menu, guys. This is just a tutorial to try not to get too angry at me. Here we go. Okay, we are ready for our first test flight to see if there is any way in the world that this contraption is going to work. We're aiming that way. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Let's take a look at our engine here. Okay, Crusader, 5 meters, thorium powered, and I believe we're on hydrolox. Liquid hydrogen. Oh, it doesn't want to use hydrolox. Uh-oh, we might be in trouble, folks. I'm gonna do that. Missing liquid hydrogen. I got you. I bet $1. It's because this isn't cross-fed in properly. All right, gotta fix this. My apologies. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and just throw tanks on the side here, and then go ahead and use good old-fashioned hoses to do the rest. That should take care of that issue for us. Go ahead and make this slightly more aerodynamic. Yeah, sure, why not? Okay, so with fuel hoses installed, we now have feed to our engine. So that little issue there is solved. Let's go ahead and open up our window. If we open up here, we see we have a theoretical power supply of 5 gigawatts, but really only about 1 gigawatt is what we're actually going to be able to expect out of this, maybe less, but nonetheless, let's go ahead and do this. Launching away. Okay, we got full power, and we're getting several tons of thrust, 5,000, 6,000, a lot of thrust out of this. So let's go ahead and pitch that way. Didn't have a whole lot of fuel stored up in these tanks, wasted quite a bit of it just getting into the air. So I might have to do this in another shot, because I don't think we're going to be able to actually glide the whole way to the ocean there. Definitely wanted to get a little bit further. Yeah, it's not going to work. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, one more time. We'll start off gently this time, I suppose. Oh, it's not going to get us off the ground. There we go. Do one of these. Then go to full throttle. See if we can do something this way. Maybe. Possibly. Nope. Definitely not. Most assuredly not. Okay. But we'll at least be able to test out parachutes. Going down at about 9.5 meters per second. It's probably a little bit too fast. No, holds up. Okay, not bad, just needs a touch more fuel. Alright, so this should be simple enough. We just take one of these, plop it on there, so we've got that much more liquid hydrogen and oxygen, and just be super safe, we're gonna put an extra tank on there. Make sure we have more than what we need. Okay? This should do the trick. Maybe a few more parachutes. So there's a parachute, and there's a parachute. Okay, so a few more parachutes. Alright, so let's try this again. 3 and 2 and 1 and fire. Lift and pitch and fly out. See how far we get. Go ahead and cut our engine. See, got much further this time. Let's go ahead and keep flying. Let's get out pretty good ways. Excellent. Okay, we'll want to deploy chutes. Ooh, yeah, alright. Go ahead and speed things up a little bit. Definitely when you build yours, you're going to want a lot more radiators. So many more radiators. Or bigger ones. Something like that. Maybe build a boat and float it out, put it on wheels, so you don't have to worry about a whole lot of things. But yeah, looks like we got a pretty decent amount of the radiators submerged, but not all of them, but good enough. You know, good enough. Let's open up our thermal power management here. Okay. There's that. We can turn our engine off. Shutting down. And then we got this thing. Let's go ahead and turn to X-band. And we'll go to small, start off. Alright, so 886 megawatts. You can see our current thermal supply is about 2 gigawatts, and it is fairly stable. You noticed in the VAB we didn't actually have 2 gigawatts of thermal dissipation. We had less than 1 gigawatt, but we have most of these stuck in the water there, which is making them, you know, work in our favor. So it's pretty good. The radiator temperatures are climbing, waste heat is climbing, so we are going to experience a loss of power here eventually. But we are doing pretty well. These are good numbers right here. 877, 76. Okay, now we're starting to lose power. Okay. So I could leave it like this, and it will eventually find, you know, where it wants to really be at. I imagine it'll probably get somewhere around what our theoretical supply from the VAB was, but we're still, you know, comfortably pumping out 800 megawatts of power for the time being. And we could also just turn this off and let it cool down. But we don't have that much waste heat, so we could actually let this go for quite a long time. And the reactor itself should be stable for how long? 8 years. Of course, as actinides build up, there's also that to worry about. So, you know, thorium, maybe not the best for leaving out in the middle of the ocean, but really neither is uranium. But uranium is actually more manageable because you can later on use the science lab to centrifuge, ocean extraction to centrifuge some enriched uranium from the ocean itself. All right, so that's that. Okay, so let's go ahead and extend our panel. Make sure that we're you know, extending and beaming out that beamed power, 854 megawatts. So let's go ahead and reduce transmission strength to 15.5%. That'll leave it at 756 megawatts. And that should let us do that for, okay, good, 10 years. So low power, as we upgrade, we can upgrade our radiators, build better designs, and get more power out of these. But this will get us started. We have more than 500 megawatts, so we can do a lot with that, in theory. Okay, so let's get on to the next part. All right, so let's just build a craft to take advantage of those of that station that we just put out there. So grab ourselves a probe core, and we're going to grab ourselves a thermal inline receiver. We're going to try to get a decent sized one. Yeah, we'll use the long one. All right, so this one is the inline thermal receiver Mark 1 2X, meaning it's twice as big as the Mark 1. Okay. It does not receive from the top or from the bottom, only on the round sides. Okay, only receives from the sides. Basically, see here where it's glowing red? The more red, the more reception. That gives you an indicator. Where it's black, no reception. Where it's really, really red, bright red, most reception. Okay. This will work with your thermal nozzle. From here, we are able to use fuel tank. Boop, fuel tank. We could use liquid fuel. I think I will go with Hydrolux again. Make this tank slightly bigger. There we go. Right. Let's put one of these and one of those. Not very aerodynamic, I understand. We maybe put some wing. Put wing here. And then put more wing here. Yes, these will interfere with reception a little bit if the beam is trying to pass directly through your panel. However, if you're using microwaves, you don't have to worry about that too much. You're going to get a little bit of pass-through, but mostly you're going to be receiving right here anyway. These little wings aren't going to get in the way too much. But definitely be aware of blocking this. You don't want to block it too much. Okay? All right, so this is really, you know, that's just a basic, is this going to get to space? But if it does get to space, which it won't, it will not, but on the off chance that it does, we want to be able to beam power back. Let's see. Thermal receiver mirror. forget which one this is. Let me double check. I know there's a specific one I want for my relay. I feel like it might be this one. But I don't think this is the right one. Light is mostly what this one does. 45% conversion efficiency for microwaves. So it might not be our best bet, but I think that's kind of where we're gonna be. Yeah, they're all 45%. So maybe this one will work. So we take this, we put that there. Now, since this is thermal, I don't know if I need a generator with this or not. Maximum electric power is 5 megawatts. I don't think I need a generator with this one. Pretty sure I do with these. I think if I'm receiving thermal power, I need to connect it to a thermal generator. But if I'm getting like X-rays or ultraviolet, I don't. Sorry guys, it's been a minute. Yeah. I don't know, this will be an experiment, I guess. That's kind of how I figure these things out, is I just launch it and see what happens. So I'm going to launch this and I'm going to see what happens. Yeah, just as is. This. I'm going to launch this. Maybe with more fuel. So take this off. Don't so much need those. Need that. And then what I do from here is treat it as if it were just any other rocket. And I place decoupling right there. And hydrolux. Maybe make that smaller and use more than one. So 1, 2, and 3. Already we are looking like a very strange craft, but that is okay. We will connect our fuel. Looking good. Looking good. We put some graphene radiator. Perhaps not over that thing. We put that right there. Yeah. No idea if this will work or not. We are clueless. Clueless. Yeah. Well, there's only one way to find out. I would recommend putting this up on stilts. Make sure to get the most reception available from our offshore hoodiki. So we do that. And then that, so that it doesn't fall over. Yeah. Sure. Okay, let's try. Okay, so immediately upon getting to the launch pad, I got the liquid hydrogen boil off message because I wasn't producing power. So I immediately turned on my thermal inline receiver, and without any generators on this vessel, I am getting 584 kilowatts of electricity. That's just like a standard what it can convert on its own. So that is keeping my tanks refrigerated without actually producing any more electricity than that. So that's actually really cool. Alright, so let us turn the power receiver interface on so we can get a better idea of what Agatha, which is 6 kilometers away. Got a spot size of 1.27 meters. Wavelength is 25 millimeters. That's that X-band microwave. And of the 680 megawatts it's putting out, we're getting 677. Pretty good efficiency there. All right, so let us activate our engine. We have it in liquid hydrogen mode. Let's turn to hydrolox mode. Doesn't appear that we're going to go very far. Oh boy. Let's rotate that around a little. Okay. Activate, fire the engine. See if we are even close to getting enough thrust. All right, 107 kilonewtons is what we're getting from 677 megawatts of power. 107 kilonewtons is not enough to do anything. Radio then. Okay, so be sure to activate that receiver right away when you launch your craft, or actually put batteries on it, like I failed to do. So we're gonna head over here to Agatha real quick, if I can click on her. It is actually not letting me. That is interesting. Not a problem. Not a problem. I'll just do one of these. Alrighty then. So as we watch our power station slowly tip over, that was definitely not expected. Did not expect for that to happen. Not really sure why it happened. These are all empty. Yeah, I suppose that is absolutely something to worry about. Alright, well, it's just for testing anyway. We're going to turn this all the way up. And it's probably not going to enjoy that. So maybe I slow it down a little. To there, 2.5 gigawatts, 2.4 gigawatts. It'll take a while to overheat at that point. Okay, so we do that, make sure it's pumping out power. Still not going to let me do that, eh? Okay, no problem. Okay, one more time. All right, so we're getting a little more power this time, 2 gigawatts worth instead of the 600 and some odd megawatts we were getting there. So let's go ahead and activate that engine. Okay, now we're getting some thrust. A few hundred kilonewtons, a couple hundred kilonewtons, I should say. Let's see if that is enough. Make sure we don't decouple our fuel in the process. And nope, definitely not. Not enough. Okay, so what that means is we need to go bigger. Much, much bigger. Alright, so Clueless didn't work because it's too puny. So we must go bigger. Okay, so we go with let us make it 5 meters. Okay. Yeah. Yes. This is what I want to see. Probably going to need a lot more fuel. That's going to be tricky. fuel pump. Okay. Good. Take that off. Fuel pump. And we can just do this now. There we go. That should do the trick. Right? Why not? Can't afford to launch. That's right, because I need to cheat in some more money. There we go. Okay, that should be enough to launch. Alright, so I keep forgetting that I don't have any power generation on this thing, so I need to do something real quick. I can't have this thing set to be on automatically. Okay. So I need a little bit of power, a little bit of electrical generation of some sort. Or batteries. You can just put batteries on here. I think I'm just going to go with capacitors for this particular little bit. See if that helps. We'll find out. Yeah, okay. So adding some extra capacitors on there definitely helped with that. All right, so our receiver's on, power receiver interface looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and see if we can get off the ground this time. Here we go. Oh wait, are we liquid hydrogen? Okay, hydro locks. There we are. Fire. Takes a moment. 457. Oh. I don't think this is actually going to do it. Nope, probably not. No. Okay, not enough thrust there. Let's try something real quick. Okay, so we couldn't get off the ground with the level of fuel that we're at right now, but what if we jettison all that? Oh, well, there's no other fuel to actually use. Right. One more power station on the other side of the planet seemed like a good idea. So we'll have power beaming out for our first satellite there when it gets to the other side. Should be good. Angle might be a little off, might have some issue with the mountains. Don't know if it's really going to work, but we'll try. So I successfully got one of these suckers into orbit. I have a relay active here. The relay is active. I don't have it connected to a beam generator, so I don't know if I'm doing this right. I also don't know if I need like another one of these, but since these are mirrors, it's the inline thermal receiver mirror dish. I'm assuming the relay uses mirrors to bounce the waves, so I don't think I need another what set of these to do the relay thing, but we're about to find out. I'm going to go ahead and launch a bunch of these and see if they all work together. Okay? Alright, here we go. Okie dokie. This is Klaus. Basically spent all night last night going over different configurations of how I could get the smallest, cheapest thing into orbit using those power stations. Eventually realized I just need more power, which is why I put a bunch of them out there. So there are a total of 4, 3 east of KSC, 1 on the other side of the planet. The 3 east of KSC are for launching, the 1 on the other side of the planet is for circularizing. Just based off of my general launch profiles and how my stuff ends up, that's what I did. The parts that we have, let me go ahead and take this apart so we can see what all is here. Okay, so right here we have the inline thermal receiver mirror thingy. That is that bad boy right there. Okay, good, good, good. You'll find that under thermal power receivers. It's this one right here, inline thermal receiver mirror dish. Cool, right? Yeah, okay. So that's that one. A little probe core. Got a few radiators, not much, doesn't really need much. There's a fuel tank right here with liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. Let's see how much is in here. 226.7 kilograms hydrogen, 912.8 kilograms oxygen. That's for that tank. It's Rockomax X208, 2.5 meters with hydrolox. You just go ahead and change color so you can see what I'm showing you. That thing right there. Okay, that's one fuel tank. A little bit of capacitors because cryostats want to keep the stuff cold, but I don't have like a reactor or anything on here, and those solar panels aren't really going to do it. They're just kind of there for backup. So capacitors there will hold a decent amount of electric charge long enough for me to turn on the receiver, get electricity, and be good to go. They'll also hold enough electricity to keep these things cool and refrigerated while on the dark side of the planet. Of course, once we're fully in orbit, we're going to run out of fuel, so we don't really need all that much at that point anyway. It's just basically just to get us up to launch. Through another fuel tank on here with a nose cone. This one has just 6,000 units of liquid hydrogen, so that is 425.1 kilograms liquid hydrogen. Then we got this bad boy right here. So it's a little fuel tank adapter just to make the form factor fit. It also has hydrolox in it. 362 kilograms hydrogen, 1.4 tons of liquid oxygen right there. Okay, we have inline thermal receiver Mark 1 to the 2X version. It's 3.75 meter design. Its maximum power that it can receive, electrical or thermal, is 33.75 gigawatts. We're not going to be sending it nearly that much. Its maximum it's going to receive at any point will not exceed 7.9 gigawatts. Wanting me to close to that. So there's that. Then we have this piece over here that I'll just throw it on as 1 for the time being. Decoupler. Several of these fuel tanks. The top 2 have liquid hydrogen, the bottom one has hydrolox. Okay, a couple of wings for stabilization, and a fuel line so that it drains these tanks first. And I'm using the toroidal aerospike at 1.875 meters for this booster section. And then the main engine is a Crusader thermal rocket at 2.5 meters. Notice I made it smaller than this thing right here. Basically making it larger made it heavier and waste fuel, because this thing has plenty of thrust to get to orbit at 2 Gs, like the whole time. Alright, so we take this and we move it down a little further so that we have balance, and we're going to put it in triplicate. Okay? So there's that. Oh, I just did a quad. So I don't actually want to do that. I want 3, not 2, or not 4. I said 3. Right about there. Yeah? Okay. So the bottom side here is going to be the part receiving thermal. So we want to make sure that that is left open. But we can definitely block it from the top and the angles, because we won't be receiving from that direction. But we're going to be getting all our power from right here. Once we get to the other side of the planet, we can rotate that sort of thing to catch the other satellite. But basically all we're doing is putting this here relay into orbit. Best thing for these is to get a good like GPS style orbit going, so you have full coverage everywhere, or maybe do some geosynchronous stuff if you're going to use lasers instead of mirrors, you know, infrared instead of microwave, that sort of thing, which you could totally do. You can use infrared in the correct wavelength. I think it's like 10, it's like 0.1 millimeter. I'll look it up later. But yeah, this is what we're going to try to send. So let's go ahead and make sure we got that going, and let's send it. Okay, as soon as we get here, we gotta activate our receiver. These capacitors will give us a few moments to activate the receiver before we run out of power, because these cryo tanks will drain the battery super quick. All right, full power, and yeah, just launch. Going straight up. Already getting 3.5 Gs. Go ahead and, sorry I'm eating right now, I know it's super rude. Go ahead and reduce down to about 2 Gs, because anything beyond that you're really wasting fuel. Go ahead and start your gravity turn early, because this vessel, you really want to get that orbit quick before you run out of beam power. Keep an eye on your Gs. Remember, you want about 2. I kind of missed my window for my gravity turn, but it's okay. We're going to pretend like we didn't. And turn over. Reduce speed a little more so we're not wasting fuel. We need every drop. Fairly aggressive, relatively aggressive turn going. Check our apoapsis. 40. Getting there. If I turn this on, up here in space we're getting connection from all 3 satellites. A couple gigawatts, about 3 gigawatts. Okay, let's go ahead and turn a little more so that we're full on the horizon at 35 kilometers. Apoapsis is 48 kilometers. As soon as our apoapsis is about 55, we'll start our Ender's Game pitching maneuver. Going to reduce speed a little more. Okay. Right about there. Apoapsis check. 52. 53. Now this one's running hydrolox. The toroidal aerospikes are just hydrogen, and that's going to change as soon as we're up in orbit. Alright, 55, time to pitch. 10 degrees below horizon. That'll start leveling and pushing our apoapsis around the planet, and we give it full power. Full power. Okay. Good, not too bad. Not too bad. 67, 68. Alright, now right at 70 we used up all our fuel and liquid hydrogen. So from here, we go ahead and go right about there and switch to just pure hydrogen for the rest of the trip. You can see already we're bringing our periapsis up. Just pitch a little forward and it'll bring it right around to you. If we go slow enough, it won't put our periapsis too far down into the atmosphere, and we don't have much to circularize once we get to the other side. Get in there. Get in there. I suppose I could speed things up a little. I don't know if these fire... Oh, I guess they do. Oh, and we just ran out of beamed power. You're going to see our beam transmitters are all right there, and at about this angle, we have lost transmission from that, which is no problem. Okay. All right, so we turn this off, and from here, we just kind of coast the rest of the way through the atmosphere. Go ahead and turn that off. Got plenty of electric charge because we've got those capacitors backing us up, and a little bit of sunlight right here hitting that solar panel. Okay, 61 kilometers. Got a ways to go, but we can speed up time now and get through the rest of the atmosphere. Do 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 do. Almost there. Glorious. Okay, we are in the space. Good, good. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, remember our second our secondary power transmission site is way up here. So it's going to be a weird angle, but we should still be able to get transmission once we're at apoapsis. So let's go ahead and time warp ahead. Mind you, I do already have that other satellite in orbit, but it's far enough behind us that it's not really going to be doing much for us, and since it's going to get out of range as soon as it gets in range to us. But this should be decent enough. Okay. From this angle, I don't know if we're going to get any reception. Does not appear so. Let me go ahead and activate this receiver just in case we get a little bit more. You can see that out in space. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and time warp a little bit more until we get power. There we are. Alright, we only have about 300 megawatts from this angle, which is not much, but we don't need much. Our periapsis is already 53 kilometers, so from here, if we just fire our engine, we should be able to get out there playing. So we're only getting about 300 megawatts. We're using 175. It's giving us all of 25 kilonewtons of thrust. Our current vessel mass is 20 tons. Since we're in space, that's plenty enough. Periapsis 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. I'm going to bring it up to probably 90. 89, and there we go, 90. 91, 92-ish, whatever. But from there, that's it. We got our second satellite in orbit. So I'm going to go ahead and disable the receiver here, shut down the engine. There we are. Now I'm going to activate relay. Why isn't it deploying? Alright, deactivate relay. Activate receiver, disable receiver, activate relay, and maybe the animation stays with the thing open. Alright, relay active and our mirrors are out. Perfect. Okay, so that's two satellites in orbit. Okay, and it does appear as they have a communications connection, but I don't know if they have a power connection or not. Could be a while before we figure that one out. Well, this one's not getting any power anyway, so gonna have to launch a few more of these. But basically, you know, that's what you would do. So let's go ahead and see one more of these, just so you can kind of, you know, catch the hang of that. All right. Okay, so that's us in orbit. Now, I'd like to find out if I'm actually getting any reception from these other relays. So I'm going to go ahead and turn around. See if I can detect anything. So far, nothing. For some reason I can't seem to select these. Oh, it's probably because I don't have my tracking station upgraded. That's why. Duh. Alright, let's just I'm gonna point, kind of backwards, and see if we eventually get a connection. So once this satellite gets in range of this Prowess transmission station, we should receive something from it, is what I'm hoping. So let's see. Okay, Agatha up here is what we're receiving from. Okay. Let's go ahead and turn this off. I'll have both receiver interfaces open. Alright, it's the thermal receiver down here, and the inline receiver right there. See if we get anything. Okay, so this should be allowing us to get something. I may not have set these receivers up properly. I don't know, folks. This may not work the way I wanted it to. So from here, okay. Yeah. I certainly did something wrong. So I will try to figure this out, and I will update in the next video what I did wrong. But for some reason, I could have sworn that this was how you would go about reflecting those beams back, but I might be doing this completely wrong. Maybe this isn't for reflecting microwave back. Maybe I need to do something else. Stable. Radio then. All right, thanks for watching. That's sort of how you do it. I guess I need to work on the particulars of the relays themselves next, so that'll be the next episode that I'll get started on right away. Just want to throw this one up to show you basically how it's done and then try to figure out how to actually do it, because apparently this is not the correct configuration, or maybe my angles are off. Nonetheless, you see that I can still launch, you can still use those ground-based or ocean-based power stations to get things up into orbit. And if nothing else, these are good for communications. All right, stay frosty, keep flying. I'll see you next time.